Hey everyone, and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, where it's time for the crafting and gathering of patch 2.4. Today we're going to be doing this in several distinct parts, just to make it a little bit easier on me. First part's going to be leftover stuff from patch 2.3 that we couldn't quite craft at the time because I didn't have the materials for it. Then we're going to be doing unlocking the second Mastercraft books, the Tier 2 Mastercraft released in patch 2.4. And then I believe after that we'll be finishing by doing the actual Mastercraft 2 crafting, and there's a lot to do in the Mastercraft 2. So, let's get started. Starting with the leftovers from patch 2.3, Levin Barding. We did not have any Levin Orbs, but now we do. Levin Orbs can drop from Ramuh Hard or Ramuh Extreme, but they're an annoyingly rare drop. Turns out you can just buy them for real cheap on the market board for some reason, but they were just not dropping for me for some reason, and it sucked. For this Levin Barding that we could have crafted last time, let me double check where we find everything just to be sure, and then we'll get the crafting. Okay, pulling up my team craft list. Let's go in order by area. Starting off in the East Shroud from Timed Botany, we can get 4 Silkworm cocoons. In Central Shroud from Timed Botany, we can get 1 Shroud Tea Leaf. Eastern Thanalan from Timed Mining, we can get 3 Gold Ore. In South Shroud from Regular Mining, we can get 2 Effervescent Water. Central Thanalan from Regular Mining, we get 1 Copper Ore. And it looks like from any of your Grand Company vendors or from the Ixal Society vendors, we can get 1 Saurian Skin. Alright, once we have all of that, we also need 1 Levin Orb, either from beating Ramuh Hard, where it's a pretty rare drop, or Ramuh Extreme, where it's a less rare but still rare drop that comes in the treasure coffer. We need 1 regular Levin Orb, not a large Levin Orb, a regular Levin Orb. Then as Goldsmith, we can pre-craft 1 Rose Gold Nugget. As Leatherworker, pre-craft 1 Saurian Leather, and as Weaver, pre-craft 4 Silk Thread from 2 crafts. And that'll be enough to make ourselves the Levin Barding. Alright, let's get this crafted. Let's see. I think it's high quality and craftable, but just because I like to, we're gonna make high quality. So that would be final appraisal plus muscle memory, put us 1 away from maxing out, which is perfect. Did not need to hit that twice. What am I doing? And how close is that? 781? Yeah, you know what? Screw it. Go for it. Then Precise Touch, and that, yeah, Levin Barding, easy to craft. Oh, also worth pointing out, when we did fishing in patch 2.3, I did have to do some extra... crafting. Specifically, I picked up the Demi-Materia Mastercraft books, which gave us a few extra things we can craft, namely like extra accessories for crafters and gatherers. Went ahead and took care of making those, especially for gatherers, just in the fishing video, because we kinda needed the extra gathering rating just to like survive some of the fishing in patch 2.3. So our crafters are a little bit better stocked right now with full item level 55 accessories, which is nice. Very, very nice. Also went ahead and made myself 2nd Aetheryte rings for the crafters, since that's better than the achievement rings for each of these specific crafters. Okay, that should be it for the patch 2.3 catch-up, the Levin Barding. Let's go ahead and make sure we've used that up. So that is now available for our Chocobo, and then I'll meet you back to do the crafting to unlock our Mastercraft 2 books. Alright, I am back and I'm ready to get those master books unlocked. Let's go ahead and read through all the crafting. I'm not going to show the crafting this time, because the things we need to craft to get the master books are actually things we crafted also to get the super tools, so don't need to show that again. But if we scroll down here, for Master Carpenter, we need the reinforced spruce plywood, balanced dark steel hook, reinforced dark steel wire. These are all the things that we made to get the Supra tools. So it's just a repeat of those, but to go over the ingredients we need for these, just to be thorough. Forgot to go over the crystals for the leaven barding, but it's fine. It was only one thing, so there wasn't much in the way of crystals we needed. It's probably fine. Anyways, for crystals for this one, we need 71 fire, 44 ice, 90 wind, 65 earth, 44 lightning, 50 water shards. Then for crystals, we need 12 fire, 9 wind, 6 earth, 3 lightning. Alright. Then going through the actual ingredients from the East Shroud. From East Shroud timed... Come on. What are you doing? Where did it go? Oh, Teamcraft, why have you done this to me? Here we go. From East Shroud Time Botany, we need 2 Silkworm Cocoons. From North Shroud Regular Botany, we need 1 Cinnamon. From South Shroud Regular Mining, we need 3 Silver Ore, 1 Effervescent Water, and 2 Black Alumine. We could get this next thing from Scrip, but we don't have access to Scrip until Heavensward. So I went ahead and got it off the market board. 16 Fieldcraft Demi Materia 3. You can get this from Scrip, from the market board, or from desynthesizing, gathering, and crafting related items like gear. We need 16 total. Not too expensive on the market board. Eastern Thanalin, we need from Timed Mining 6 gold ore, and from hunting Myotrachus Billies and Nannies 4 Ald Goat Horns. From Central Thanalin, we need to mine 1 rock salt and 2 copper ore. From Eastern Lenosia, from Timed Botany, we need 1 Zmail tomato, and from Timed Mining, we need 2 volcanic rock salt. From Upper Lenosia, we need Botany for 4 noble grapes. Outer Lenosia from the Kobold Society vendor, or from your grand companies for GC seals, 1 vitriol. From Kurthis times Botany, we need 3 spruce logs, and from Time Mining there, 12 dark steel ore. And from Mordona, we can hunt hippogriffs for 2 hippogriff skins. Just a moment, I've got a kitty yelling at me. I moved to a place with cats recently and they love me. But they also need attention. Okay, they got themselves locked in my room and just wanted out. Alright, going over the pre-crafting now. As a carpenter, we can make 1 spruce lumber. As a blacksmith or armor, 4 dark steel nuggets. As a goldsmith, 1 silver ingot. Then 2 rose gold nuggets. As a leather worker, 2 hippogriff leather. As a weaver, 1 craft of silk thread for 2 total. As an alchemist, 2 horn glue. And then 1 silver brocade. As a culinarian, 1 table salt and 1 dark vinegar. Going back through one more time for more pre-crafts. As a carpenter, 1 spruce plywood. As a blacksmith, 1 dark steel hook. As an armor, 1 dark steel wire. As a goldsmith, 1 rose gold cog. As a leather worker, 1 griffin skin strap. As an alchemist, 1 spirits of salt. And as a culinarian, 1 spicy tomato relish. Then you should be able to make all of the 3-star crafts that we need in order to get these books unlocked. Okay. Let's go ahead and get the exchange done. Nope, not the Master Culinarian one. Let's exchange for all of our Mastercraft books. Come on. I thought I selected you. There we go. keep accidentally moving over to cancel, because sometimes the menu starts you on cancel, sometimes the menu starts you on trade. I don't like that. Alright, got all of our Mastercraft books, let's learn them. And then we can take a brief look at the recipes, just skim through them. There's going to be a lot of recipes to go through. And because there are a ton of recipes to go through, we're probably going to be going through them in small batches, just to make things a bit easier. A bit easier on my end, at least. Okay, so Mastercraft 2, we get triple cream coffee, bacon bread, flint caviar, and bacon broth for Culinarian. Looks like it's largely just our best food for A Realm Reborn, not too diverse. We've got tank food, we've got general attacking food, and we have spellcaster food. Fair enough. And then bacon broth, desynthesis skill gain, and reduced durability loss. Interesting. So that's kind of like a utility food then, not really a stat buff so much. We've got a lot of Orchestrion rolls that we can craft. We're not going to be able to craft all of them right now because some of these are from later in A Realm Reborn. But there's also a few weapons we can make, as well as Tinker's Calm, which increases our desynthesis skill gain. Very nice if you're trying to grind out your desynth levels. As Weaver, tons and tons of armor, as well as our item level 60 Crafter and Gatherer gear. The item level 60 Crafter gear, I believe, is functionally identical to the item level 70 gear that we got from Talon, but you can meld materia to it. It's slightly weaker in base stats, much better in the long run because you can meld materia to it. We're definitely going to be crafting and using the item level 60 gear. It is actually better than the item level 70 purely for that ability to meld materia to it. It's very, very good in that way. Let's see. And it's going to be largely the same across all of them. A lot of item level 110 gear for all of our combat jobs, and then the item level 60 clothing. I haven't seen any accessories, maybe in Goldsmith. But yeah, item level 60 clothing for our crafters and gatherers. I don't see any accessories. It might be that there's no better accessories than the item level 55s we got from the Demi Materia crafting. So, here's what I am thinking. Some of these Mastercraft weapons are just straight up better weapons. Some of them are themed weapons themed after particular primals. Specifically, it looks like they're themed after Ramu. I don't really want to grind out large 11 orbs, and these are they're not much different in stats compared to the regular weapons you can get at item level 110 from crafting. So I'm thinking, since the 11 weapons, the thunder weapons, are largely for aesthetic, and otherwise the same strength, I'm gonna skip over them, not worry about them. So I'll skip those, but I will do all the weapons and armor, because not all of our weapons and armor are at item level 110 yet. So this will be just upgrades across the board for everyone. It'll be very, very good to have that. That should make us basically ready to go into things like the raid series for patch 2.4. Wants us to start at 110, and then our item level needs to go up further from there. So I definitely want to get those upgrades just so we're prepared for the raid series. But I think the order I'm going to do things is I'm going to make the gatherer armor. I'm going to make the gatherer equipment first, then the crafter equipment, then everything else. Gather equipment first so that it's easier to get all the materials we need, then crafter equipment so it's easier to make everything. It might also be worth it to do crafter first, then get... I'm not going to overcomplicate this. Let's first off make it easier to craft everything. Crafter first, then gather, then everything else. That's gonna be the plan. So I'll see you back in a little bit, either to gather some supplies for the crafting gear, or to actually make the crafting gear. Depends on if there's anything new we need to gather. So I'll be back in a bit once I'm ready for that. Alright, in order to prep for our first bit of gathering for our crafter clothes, we're gonna need a new resource that we have not mined up before. We're up here in southern Thanalan, heading up to the north. Available from 4 AM to I'm not sure when, Eorzean time. But starting at 4 AM, there's a mining spot here that gives us platinum ore. We're gonna want as much of this as we possibly can, so let's crank out all the GP buffs. In total, we only need 12 for this set of crafting, but we are going to need more later, I believe, so definitely think it's worth it to get as much as we can while we're here. 22? I would have liked to hit 24, but this will be fine for now. Alright, now I can meet you up in Mordona and we can do crafting. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and put the list of materials over top of us doing crafting passively in the background just to make this nice and simple. So starting off for our 4 pits of crafter's clothes, we need 6 wind crystals, 18 earth crystals, 12 lightning crystals, 4 fire clusters, 2 ice clusters, 17 wind clusters, 3 earth clusters, and 6 lightning clusters. Looks like there's no water involved in this, fair enough. Then going through our actual gathering, what do we need? Alright, so starting off in, let's go with Kurtha Central Highlands from Time Botany, we need 6 spruce logs. Next up in North Shroud, or from any of the Grand Companies for Grand Company seals. So either from the Ixal Society vendor or from your Grand Companies with GC seals. We need 12 quick hardening sealant, 18 potash, 9 hardened sap, and 9 animal fat. In East Shroud, we need from Time Botany 8 silkworm cocoons. In South Shroud, we need from regular mining 4 effervescent water and 6 black alumine. In, let's see, Southern Thanalan, we can do our time mining for that 12 platinum ore we just got. Before we go on with more regular gathering, might as well go over, we also need 4 Mastercraft Demi Materia, which you can get from script exchanges, from, I think, specific desynths, if you have like really high spirit bond on a high level gathering or crafting equipment that you just synthesize, you can possibly get a Mastercraft Demi Materia. You can get it from script, or you can just get it off the market board. We're going to need 4 Mastercraft Demi Materia. Okay, and then the last thing we need is from Mordona, from the Hippogriffs, or Hipposeraphs there, 6 Hippogriff skins. Once we have all that, we can do our pre-crafting. As a botanist, we need to make 2 spruce lumber, 1 treated spruce lumber. As a goldsmith, we need to make 4 platinum nuggets. As a leather worker, 6 hippogriff leather, and 1 hard hippogriff leather. As a weaver, we need to make 4 crafts of silk thread for 8 total, and then 2 Vanya silk. From there, we can make the 4 artisans pieces of equipment, artisan sandals as carpenter, artisan's mitts as leather worker, artisan's culottes as weaver, and artisan's apron also as weaver. Alright, now that the crafting is done, we can take a look at our new gear and compare it against what we have right now. So yeah, a slight decrease in base stats. The high quality at least makes up for part of it, but we lose 2 CP, 6 craftsmanship, and 7 control on the artisan's apron, but we have 3 base materia slots and also the ability to overmeld up to 5 materia total. So, like, once these are all melded, they're going to be better than our current crafter gear. So I'm going to go ahead and off-screen get that set up, get those melded as best as I can, and then I will meet you back to work on the next set, which is going to be the Gatherer's Clothes, which should make gathering a slight bit easier, mostly towards getting more items of any particular thing we're gathering at a time, which will be handy. It'll also help a lot with Fisher, let's be honest. Alright, I'm back. I got my crafter's clothes all melded up to pentameld. I was able to max out all the stats on all of them except for the body. It seems like you cannot max out the stats on the body gear, like the shirt specifically. Where is the easiest way to get into the materia menu? Here we go. Advanced materia melding. So yeah, going through all of it, at least through the clothing. Have maxed out crafting stats on the sandals, culottes, the mitts. Have not maxed out the apron. The apron still does not have craftsmanship maxed out. I did the best I could. You were able to max out all but one stat, basically. Let me check real quick. Just one thing. Okay, so in terms of stat changes, craftsmanship went up by 18, control stayed the same, and the crafting points CP went up by 10. So improvements, definitely improvements, which makes me excited. I also started working on pentamelding my secondary tools since there's not going to be any better secondary tools until Heavensward. So I just started pentamelding that with the best I can, focusing on maxing out the CP and control, and then putting whatever leftover spots I can into craftsmanship. Thankfully we are maxed out on, we are currently hitting all of the stat requirements we need to craft everything for the rest of A Realm Reborn. The only thing we haven't hit is we can't quick synthesize the 4-star recipes, but that's fine. Was not expecting to anyway. So, let's go ahead and get started, I think, with this next section by working on our gatherer's equipment. Okay, for the gatherer equipment, it's going to be the 4 pieces of body gear again, not including the hat, just like the crafters. You can't craft a hat for some reason. In terms of the crystals, we need 18 earth crystals, 15 lightning crystals, 4 fire clusters, 16 wind clusters, 6 earth clusters, and 6 lightning clusters. In terms of the gathering, we can start from any main city with a script exchange. If you have access to script, you can get 4 mastercrafted demi materia. Since we don't have script exchange at this point, that's not until Heavensward. The best ways to get it are from the market board or from desynthesizing high item level, high spirit bond, crafting and gathering gear. So need 4 mastercraft demi materia. Now then, starting from... I guess we can also do the things we get from our Grand Company seals, or from the Ixal Society vendors. We need 12 quick hardening sealant, 18 potash, and 18 animal fat. From Mordona, we can fight Hippoceras for 6 hippogriff skin. In Eastrad, we can do time botany for 10 silkworm cocoon. And Southern Thanalin, we can do timed mining for 12 platinum ore. And in South Shroud, we can do regular mining for 5 effervescent water and 6 black alamin. Once we have that, we can pre-craft 4 platinum nuggets as goldsmith. As leather worker, we can craft 6 hippogriff leather, 2 hard hippogriff leather. As weaver, we can do 5 crafts of silk thread for 10 total, and then 2 Vanya silk. And then from there, we should be able to craft our forger's wrist guards, shoes, slops, and vests. The wrist guards and shoes coming from leatherworker, and the slops and vests coming from weaver. Alright, now that I've got my forager gear done, the next thing to do is to meld it with my materia. Try and get that up to max materia melds. Thankfully it's 3 slots on each to start with, which will make it a lot easier to get the melds done. I suspect we won't be able to max everything out, just because we weren't able to max everything out on the crafter gear, but we'll see. This is a definite upgrade for our gatherers though, because up till now the best they've had is the item level 55 gear, which is gatherer specific. It's the unique gear for each gatherer, which also takes up a lot more inventory space. But since it's going to be shared gear, I can share materia between them, which will make it a lot easier on me. But because Fisher is going to have the strongest need for specific stats, I'm going to be trying to max out the gathering stats primarily on my gatherer gear, followed by GP, followed by perception. That's going to be my priority order. I we'll see how it ends up once I'm done melding. But yeah, we'll be back, and then we'll take care of the combat gear. And then there will be one more set after combat gear, which is just miscellaneous things, primarily orchestrion rolls. But we're going to do combat gear next to get everyone up to guaranteed item levels of 110 or higher. Alright, I've decided in order to make this easier, we're going to go one crafter at a time. So we're going to start with the things we need for carpenter, and we'll move on step by step from there. Alright, to get a few new resources for carpenter over here in Lower Lenosia, we're going to go ahead and mine raw rubies. We just need one for carpenter. We'll go over the full details of how many things we need for each crafter as we get to them. But yeah, since there's just a lot of recipes we gotta make, we're gonna divide it up one at a time, one crafter at a time, just to keep things a little bit simpler. Just so I'm not overloading my inventory and my retainers. Alright, the rubies, let's just check the gathering log. Ruby. Raw ruby is from 18 to 21, so from 6 to 9 p.m. Eorzean time. Fair enough. Next up. Alright, next up on our list for the carpenter section is we need one raw iolite, which can be found here in northern Thanalin. From 9 a.m. to... We'll check the gathering log after we grab it, actually. But we just need one raw iolite. So I'm not going to worry about using my abilities and my GP to get extras. We're not going to need too many. We might need more for the later crafters, but we can gather that as we need it. Alright, one raw iolite. That comes from here at... Oh, come on. What time? Raw iolite is from... 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. Eorzean time. I was looking at my local time, not Eorzean time. My mistake. Next up, down here in central Thanalin from 4 a.m. Eorzean time, I assume to probably about 7 a.m. We can find ourselves an unspoiled spot with... We are going for raw diamond. Just need one for carpenter. And again, we can come back for more later if we need it. And we got some spirit bond done. I mentioned before that I did the demi-materia master crafting in the patch 2.3 fishing episode, right? I think I mentioned that. If I didn't, I'll mention it in the fishing video. But yeah, during the patch 2.3 fishing, we ran into a bit of a crisis. I needed to get better accessories for better gathering stats, so we did demi-materia crafting. Which, yeah, we're not going to worry too much about that. I was hoping I wouldn't need it, but whatever. Anyways, next up. Here in Middle Lenosia, with the exact same timing as the, diamonds, we can get ebony log, of which we need 24. Alright then, we are using our abilities this time then. Yeah, we'll use Manifold Harvest just to get one extra. 24, we should get enough. We're definitely gonna be able to get enough. Good. Alright, there's our 25 ebony logs. And now I believe we can craft. Alright, for the crafting for carpenter to get those weapons. Starting out with the crystals, we need 20 fire clusters, 32 ice clusters, 48 wind clusters, and 8 earth clusters. Moving on to area by area what we need. We can start out in... Let's start with things you can get from the grand companies. Or alternatively, many of these will come from the Ixal's Society quests. Let's start with the Ixal Society quest vendor items. From Ixal Society vendor, or from your grand companies with grand company seals, we need 1 Rozic sand, not Rozic sap, Rozic sand, and 3 emery. Next up, from the grand companies directly, using their grand company seals, we need 4 Woots ore, 36 Razic sap, not Rozic sand, Rozic sap, and 108 borax. Next up, we can start doing our actual gathering. In Lower Lenosia, we can use timed mining for 1 raw ruby. In Middle Lenosia, we can use timed botany for 24 ebony logs. In Central Thanolin, we can use our timed mining for 1 raw diamond and 1 native gold. Northern Thanolin, timed mining will give us 1 raw iolite. Southern Thanolin, timed mining will give us 8 platinum ore. And Eastern Thanolin, timed mining will give us 1 gold ore. Finally, we need to get 4 elegant Woots nuggets, which come from Binding Coils of Bahamut, turns 1, 2, 4, and 5. We need 4 of those in total, or you can get them off the market board. Once we have all of that, pre-crafting, basically all of our pre-crafting is going to be from Mastercraft 1 and 2. From Carpenter, we need 12 ebony lumber. From Blacksmith, 4 Woots ingots. From Goldsmith, 1 diamond, 1 gold ingot, 1 iolite, 4 platinum ingots. I messed up and made platinum nuggets, don't make the same mistake I did. 4 platinum ingots, and then 1 ruby. Finally, we need 12 Battlecraft Demi-Materia 3, which come from desynthesis of combat gear, or you can get it off the market board. And finally, 12 Elegant Catalysts, which you can get from the first 2 Alliance raids in Crystal Tower. So from Circus Tower and Labyrinth of the Ancients. We need 12 total. Once we have all of that, we can go ahead and make ourselves with Carpenter 1 Woot Spear, 1 Ebony Longbow, 1 Ebony Cane, and 1 Ebony Staff. Alright. Big advantage of these, not only are they item level 110, but they're also meldable. You can meld materia to them, which makes them very powerful, if you have the materia to spare. Next up, Blacksmith. Alright, we are back, and it is time to take care of the Mastercraft 2 for Blacksmith. Specifically, of course, the weapons and armor and such. All the combat gear. We're going to start off with the Woot Scimitar, and I have realized something silly. Well, obvious. I can just use a macro craft in order to do all the crafting without needing to focus on it and split my attention. So let's start going over the materials we need for Blacksmith while that's going. We are going to need, in terms of crystals, 3 water shards, 6 wind crystals, 67 fire clusters, 5 ice clusters, 30 wind clusters, and 54 earth clusters. In terms of gathering, we can start from North Shroud, because that's where the Ixal Society vendor is. From the Ixal vendor, or from your Grand Company with Grand Company seals, we can get... Let me start up the next craft. But from the Ixal vendor, we can get 1 Rozic Sand, not Rozic Sap, Rozic Sand, 1 Petrified Log, and 1 Emery. And while you're in North Shroud, might as well get from Time Botany 1 Scarlet Sap. Moving on to Grand Companies directly, using Grand Company seals, we can get 19 Woots Ore, 63 Rozic Sap, not Rozic Sand, Rozic Sap, 2 Dubbin, and 18 Borax. And next up in South Shroud, from regular Botany, we can get 1 Oak Log. Alright, that's going. Next up, let's do Lenosia. Lower Lenosia, from Time Mining, we can get 1 Raw Sapphire. Middle Lenosia, from Time Botany, we can get 4 Ebony Logs. Upper Lenosia, from just regular mining, we can get 3 Brimstone. Next up will be Thanolin, Western Thanolin, or Central Thanolin. We can get 2 copper ore from regular mining. Also in Central Thanolin, from Time Mining, 1 native gold. In Southern Thanolin, from Time Mining, we can get 17 platinum ore. And in Eastern Thanolin, from Time Mining, we can get 7 gold ore. Alright, next up is the Woots Knuckles on the list. Alright, from Eastern Thanolin as well, we can get from regular mining 3 Wyvern Obsidian and 3 Saltpeter. Then, remaining things we need to gather. From desynthesizing high-end combat gear, Or from the market board, you can get 17 Battlecraft Demi Materia 3. From running the first 2 Crystal Tower raids, that is Labyrinth of the Ancients and Circus Tower, you can get 16 Elegant Catalyst. Then from, I believe, turns 1, 2, 4, and 5 of the Binding Coils of Bahamut, we can get 19 Elegant Woots Nuggets. Then from the same exact raids, turns 1, 2, 4, and 5 of Binding Coils, we can get 2 Elegant Leather. Once all of that is collected, we can move on to the pre-crafts. From Carpenter, we can get 1 Ancient Lumber, as well as 2 Ebony Lumber. From Blacksmith, 19 Woots Ingots. From Goldsmith, 1 Gold Ingot. Then 7 Platinum Ingots, 1 Platinum Nugget, and 2 Rose Gold Nuggets. Oh, still going. Then 1 Sapphire. Alright, and it looks like we are on the last craft right as we're about to finish up the pre-crafting. So that worked out perfectly. Next up is Leatherworker. We can make 2 Kirimu Leather. And finally as Alchemist, 1 Black Fire Sand. Once we have all of that, we can go through all of our combat gear for Blacksmith, which is a Woots Scimitar, a Woots Knuckles, a Woots Bouge, a Woots Daggers, 1 Woots Fausar, and 1 Woots Revolver. Alright, next on our list is going to be Armor. So we're going to be making a bunch of actual armor now. Alright, perfect. I'll meet you back once I have the supplies ready and or when we need to gather some new materials. Alright, we're back, and next up on the list is Armor. I went ahead and got all the materials ready, so let's get the quick crafting going. And while that's going, I'll go ahead and start going over the ingredients. Starting with the Woots Shield. Let me also remember to put the macro on my hotbar and set it to go. Okay, so starting out with crystals, we need 12 fire crystals, 6 ice crystals, 21 earth crystals, 76 fire clusters, 28 ice clusters, 16 wind clusters, and 87 earth clusters. Moving on to the gathering, let's start from North Shroud. Either from the Ixal Society vendor or from your Grand Company with Grand Company seals, we need 9 She-Light. Anything else from Grand Companies? Yes. 30 Wootzor from Grand Companies with Grand Company seals does not come from the Ixal Society. Okay, I wasn't paying attention to how well the macro worked. Looks like we got high quality, so I'm not too worried. Next up is the Woots Saleh. Alright, next up, South Shroud. We are going to use regular mining for 7 black element. Southern Thanalin, we're going to do time mining for 24 platinum ore. In Northern Thanalin, we will do time mining for 9 ferberite and regular mining for 9 cobalt ore. In Mordona, we will fight Hippoceraphs for 7 hippogriff skins. And in Kurthus Central Highlands, time mining for 12 dark steel ore. Once we have that, we can do our, not quite doing our pre-crafts yet. Right, there's a few things we need to get from other sources. From Binding Coils turns 1, 2, 4, and 5, we can get 30 Elegant Woots Nuggets. I just bought those off the market board because I'm not dragging people in to help me grind out the Binding Coils unsynced. That would be mean. That's a lot of grinding. And it's not too expensive on the market board. Would be better and cheaper, of course, to grind it out ourselves, but like it wasn't too expensive when I bought it. Next up, not pre-crafting yet, goodness me. From the first 2 Crystal Tower raids from Labyrinth of the Ancients and Circus Tower, we can get 2 Elegant Catalysts. And from desynthesizing high item level combat gear, we can get 1 Battlecraft Demi Materia 3. Now pre-crafts. As a blacksmith or armor, 4 dark steel nuggets. As a blacksmith, 4 wolfram ingots. And 30 woots ingots. Let me get this set up. Ooh, 5 ingots on the Kairos, fair enough. Anyways, as armor, 2 dark steel rings, 5 wolfram squares. As a goldsmith, 8 platinum nuggets. And as a leather worker, 7 hippogriff leather. That should be all the pre-crafting. Once that is done, we can make, as armor, a Wootz Saleh, a Wootz Kairos, a Wootz Mitten Gauntlets, a Wootz Sabatons, Wootz Mask, Wootz Mail, Wootz Gauntlets, Wootz Solares, and a Wootz Shield. Alright, that should be everything for armor. I'll go ahead and finish up the rest of the crafting off screen because there's still several things to go. And I will meet you back for the goldsmith gear in just a little bit. Alright, there are, for the goldsmith section, 2 more materials we need to gather that we have not gathered before. First off, from 3 AM Eorzean time here in North Thanalan, just outside of the cerulean processing plant, yes. We need to get ourselves some topaz. I believe we're going to need about 6 of it. So grab as much as you can so we don't gotta come back later. And we'll go grab the last thing we need for the goldsmith section. And the other thing we need to gather is over here in Central Thanalan from 4 AM Eorzean time, just northeast of Blackbrush Station by Lost Hope. Heading into this cave once again, we have raw emerald. As before, just get as many as you can so we don't have to come back later. And I'll go over the exact numbers once we get to crafting. Hey, I've got some materia to pull out too. Very nice. Alright, I will meet you back when I am ready for the crafting. Alright, back and ready to go with crafting for goldsmith. This is where it gets really, really expensive. So if you are doing any of this crafting, pick and choose what you're going to craft. Because this is this is where it gets really expensive. Here, let me just, real quick, let's see. To craft everything for just the goldsmith part of this isn't the only extremely expensive step, by the way. There's other very expensive steps coming up. But for just the goldsmith, 274,150 Grand Company seals. You can mitigate that a little bit by trading with the Ixal Society vendor, but 274,000 for goldsmith. I am picking and choosing. Let me see, what exactly am I picking and choosing? I'm going to do the Platinum Planisphere, Platinum Ring, Scarf, and Bangles of Slaying, and Platinum Ring of Fending. And that is all I am going to be crafting out of the goldsmith list. But I will read off the materials you need to craft everything if you want to craft everything. So let me just go ahead and get that crafting and we'll start going over everything. Okay, so crystals first. 3 lightning crystals, 279 fire clusters, 325 wind clusters, 8 earth clusters, 12 lightning clusters, and 4 water clusters. Let's get started on the actual gathering. Starting off in North Shrouds, we can take a look at what you can get from the Ixal Society vendor. You can also, of course, get these from the Ixal Society vendor from your Grand Company with Grand Company seals. We need 1 Voidsent Blood, 2 Sheelite, 10 Rozik Sand, not Rozik Sap, Rozik Sand. I keep clarifying because I've made that mistake before. 1 Minium, 9 Filtered Water, 35 Emery, and 5 Cashmere Fleece. Okay, real quick, let me get the next one started. Planisphere's done, so Ring of Slaying. We're skipping the earrings because I have the really good, like, pre-order bonus earrings, so don't need to worry about those. Scarf of Slaying. Okay, let's do Scarf of Slaying, correct? Yes. And I'm picking and choosing what I'm crafting based on what I already have at item level 110, just to, like, make sure that I'm specifically crafting things that would be upgrades. I could go ahead and craft everything for the sake of getting everything able to be item level 110 and also able to be melded with materia, but so much materia is being dedicated towards the relic weapons right now that it's just not worth it for me to worry too much about crafted gear for materia purposes. Anyways, with your Grand Company, for Grand Company seals, you cannot get these from the Ixal vendor. But for Grand Company seals, we can get 2 Wootz ore, 756 Razzik Sap, not Razzik Sand. Don't waste 756 worth of Grand Company seals on Razzik Sand. It's Razzik Sap, 756 to emphasize, and then 1 Dubbin. Then let's see. Let's start off with the Shroud. So Time Botany from East Shroud, 2 Silkworm Cocoons. Then I think I saw something in South Shroud. Yep. Regular Mining for 1 Effervescent Water. And let's see. So next on the list would be either Bangles or Scarf. Bangles of Slaying. Alright, get those crafting. And let's see. So next up in Eastern Thanalin, from Time Mining, we can get 10 gold ore. In Southern Thanalin, from Time Mining, we can get 175 platinum ore. That's a lot. In Central Thanalin, from Time Mining, we can get 7 raw emeralds, 1 raw diamond, and 10 native gold. In Northern Thanalin, we can use Time Mining for 6 raw topaz, 7 raw iolite, and 2 ferberite. We can also do regular mining there for 2 cobalt ore. Next up in Lower Lenosia, we can do Time Mining for 7 raw sapphire and 7 raw ruby. And finally, in Outer Lenosia, or from your Grand Company with Grand Company seals, 6 vitriol. The vitriol from Outer Lenosia coming from the Kobold Society vendor. That's 6 vitriol. Okay, bangles are done, so next is a ring of slaying and a ring of fending. So we'll do Other things we need to gather. From the Binding Coils of Bahamut, turns 1, 2, 4, or 5, we can get 1 Allegan Leather and 2 Allegan Woots Nuggets. I went ahead and got these off the market board, as usual, since I don't want to grind out the Binding Coils, not at this level. From the first 2 raids of the Crystal Tower series, so from Circus Tower and the Labyrinth of the Ancients, you can get 28 Allegan Catalysts. And from desynthesizing high-level combat gear, we can get 53 Battlecraft Demi-Materia 3. Again, all 4 of those things that you get from the raids and from Desynth, you can just get off the market board if you want. Basically everything you can get off the market board. Okay, last thing I'm crafting is the Ring of Slaying. So let's get that done. And now for pre-crafts. As a blacksmith, we can make 2 Wolfram ingots, 2 Woots ingots. As a goldsmith, 1 diamond, 7 emerald, 10 gold ingots, 7 iolite, 84 platinum ingots, 2 platinum nuggets, 7 ruby, 7 sapphire, 6 topaz, 1 kirimu. As a leather worker, 1 kirimu leather. As a weaver, 1 craft of silk thread for 2 total. As an alchemist, 1 craft of diluted vitriol for 5 total. As a weaver again, 5 cashmere cloth. And as an alchemist, 1 enchanted platinum ink. Perfect! Once we have that, that should allow you to make 1 of everything. Well, basically everything from the goldsmith list. Only thing I didn't include the materials for are the Ramu weapons, which you basically same kinds of materials, but you get it with large Levin orbs in addition. I also made sure to include enough materials so you can get 2 of every ring, since you need 2 rings to like equip both ring slots. Okay, that's goldsmithing done. Whew! I'm very glad I narrowed that down to just 5 items I wanted to craft because that's expensive. I suspect leatherworkers and weaver are going to be similarly expensive, so I'll be back when those are ready to go. Alright, we are back. Time for the leatherworker part of this. Again, I have cut down significantly on the number of recipes I'm crafting because otherwise it would get very expensive, but I will go over the ingredients you need to craft 1 of everything, and if there's any rings, 2 rings. Let's see. I have narrowed it down to just 4 recipes that I'm crafting: the Kirimu coat, braze, breeches of maiming, and sandals of scouting. So let's get started. I'll get this crafting and then I will start reading through the list. Yes, coat first. Alright, while that is going, let's see. So, in terms of crystals, we are going to need 6 fire crystals, 3 ice crystals, 6 wind crystals, 21 lightning crystals, 14 fire clusters, 8 ice clusters, 160 wind clusters, 120 earth clusters, 16 lightning clusters, and 1 water cluster. For the gathering, we can start off with, let's do North Shroud so we can go over the Ixal Society vendor. With our Ixal currency, we need to get 4 Saurian skins, 9 filtered water, 1 emery, and 8 cashmere fleece. You can of course also get all of those from your Grand Company vendor. Alright, the code is done. Let's start on the Braze. Okay, next up from your Grand Company, for Grand Company seals, we need 43 dubbin and 36 borax. And just to be clear about how expensive that is, let's see, that will be 105,750 Grand Company seals. Expensive, very expensive. Alright, next up in the, let's start with the Shroud. East Shroud from Time Botany, we can get 14 silkworm cocoons. Central Shroud from Time Botany, 4 Shroud tea leaves. In Southern Shroud from regular mining, we can get 7 effervescent water. The Braze is done, so next is the Breaches of Maiming on my list. There you are. Okay, next up in, let's go Eastern Thanlin. We can get from Time Mining 6 gold ore. In Southern Thanlin, from Time Mining, we can get 39 platinum ore. In Central Thanlin, from regular mining, 2 copper ore. Next up, let's hop up to Kurthus Central Highlands real quick. From Time Mining, 6 dark seal ore. Then finally Lenosia. From Lower Lenosia, Time Mining, 1 raw sapphire. From Middle Lenosia, Time Botany, 8 ebony logs. And either from your Grand Company vendor or from the Cobalt Society vendor, we can get 6 vitriol. And then next up, from the Binding Coils Bahamut turns 1, 2, 4, and 5, we can get 43 Allegan leather, lots of Allegan leather. And that's all the gathering. Let me get those Sandals of Scouting crafted. And while that's going, we can go over the pre-crafts. As a carpenter, we want to make 4 ebony lumber. As a blacksmith or armorer, 2 dark steel nuggets. As an armorer, 1 dark steel ring. As a goldsmith, 13 platinum nuggets. 2 rose gold nuggets, 1 sapphire. As a leather worker, 43 Kirimu leather. 4 Saurian leather. As a weaver, 7 crafts of silk thread for 13 total. As an alchemist, 1 craft of diluted vitriol for 8 total. And as a weaver, 8 cashmere cloth. From there, you can craft 1 of everything in the leatherworker list. It looks like there are no rings, so you can just run through perfectly. And perfect timing. Alright then, next up is going to be Weaver, I believe. Alright, we're back. Time to work on the Weaver part of the crafting log. And as we're getting started, I actually wanted to talk about something tangential, related, but tangential. So recently a friend of mine wrote a little program that lets you fill in some basic stats about recipes, like the amount of progress and quality you need to get to like a guaranteed high quality successful craft, the amount of durability that the recipe has, as well as like you see at the top right of the crafting window, 100% efficiency, progress, and quality increases. A friend of mine wrote a like little tool to like take all that info and like give you an optimal crafting rotation. In order to guarantee that like you are able to get a 100% high quality craft, which is very, very cool. Useful thing to know there is, if I'm going to eat a food buff, what will my progress and quality progressions be? Can't really predict that until you've actually eaten the food, because like it's not really always clear how craftsmanship and control stats convert to progress and quality progress. I'm realizing the awkwardness of that phrasing. Progress and quality progress. No, I think you know what I mean. it doesn't always translate in a very obvious way, so I went ahead and dug up the source code for Teamcraft, which is thankfully open source, and they've actually already figured out how craftsmanship and control convert to progress and quality. So I now have a little spreadsheet that will let me calculate, like, okay, I have this base craftsmanship, control, and crafting points. I fill in the food buffs that I want to get, and it'll tell me, oh, here's where your progress and quality will be after the food buff. So that's handy. It'll make it a lot easier to use that little tool that a friend of mine wrote. Just a fun little thing that'll be very helpful as we get to harder and harder crafts. Right now, we are more than fine. Our stats are very, very well balanced, but it's helping a lot on my main where I'm doing the level 100 crafts right now from Dawn Trail. And this is my first time doing crafting as it releases with an expansion. That gets a little tough, actually. Anyways, let's go over the ingredients we're going to need for Weaver. The ingredients I'm going over will be for all of the combat gear, and if there's any rings, I will have enough materials to make 2 of each ring. As for what I'm actually going to be crafting myself, since I'm cutting it down severely, I'm going to just do the Arachne shirts of scouting and striking, and the Arachne culottes of casting. Just to like cut down to the things that would actually be improvements for me. Anyways, so shirt of striking first. Let's get started. So, the crystals we are going to need are going to be the 9 wind crystals, 24 earth crystals, 12 lightning crystals, 18 fire clusters, 170 wind clusters, 4 earth clusters, 136 lightning clusters, and 1 water cluster. Once we have those, we can move on to the gathering. And let's see, starting from North Shroud with the Excel Society vendor, and of course, as usual, all of these items you can also get from your Grand Company for GC seals. We are going to need 2 Saurian skin, 9 filtered water, 6 emery, and 4 cashmere fleece. Then next up, going to the Grand Companies directly. From Grand Companies, you cannot get this from the Excel or from other Society vendors. We are going to need for a lot of Grand Company seals. Let me check how many. I think it's around 40,000? Oh, no, it's a lot more than that. It's 117,000 seals. 117 Grand Companies, 117,000 Grand Company seals. We can get 52 Arachne web. My mistake. Okay, let's get that shirt of scouting crafted. And let's see, next up, let's do East Shroud Gathering. From East Shroud for Time Botany, we can get 8 silkworm cocoons. In Central Shroud from Time Botany, we can get 2 shroud tea leaves. In South Shroud from regular mining, we can get 4 effervescent water and 8 black alaman. In Eastern Thanalin, we can get from Time Mining 6 gold ore. In Southern Thanalin, is there anything in Southern Thanalin? Yes. From Time Mining, we can get 36 platinum ore. In Central Thanalin, from Time Mining, 1 raw emerald. And from regular mining, 2 copper ore. In Northern Thanalin, from Time Mining, 2 raw topaz and 2 raw iolites. Okay, and let's get the last thing crafted. This next one's going to be the culottes of casting. There you are. Alright, from Mordona we can fight Hippoceraphs for 8 hippogriff skins. Up in Kurthis, Kurthis Central Highlands, we can use time mining for 1 astral rock. From Lower Lenosia, time mining for 1 raw ruby. And finally, from either Outer Lenosia or your Grand Company for Grand Company seals, we can get 6 vitriol. In Outer Lenosia, that is from the Cobalt Society. Alright, next up, last things we need from the Wanderer's Palace, we can get 1 pinprick pebble from treasure chest there. And from the 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th turns of the Binding Coils of Bahamut, we can get 52 Allegan silk. That's a lot. Alright then, once you have all that, okay, my crafting's already done, fun, we'll just go over the pre-crafting. But yeah, next up is the pre-crafting. As goldsmith, we can make 1 astral eye, 1 emerald, 2 iolites, 12 platinum nuggets, 2 rose gold nuggets, 1 ruby, 2 topaz. As a leather worker, we can make 8 hippogriff leather, 2 saurian leather. As a weaver, we can make 52 arachne velveteen, as well as 4 crafts of silk thread for 8 total. As an alchemist, we can make 1 craft of diluted vitriol for 4 total. And as a weaver again, we can make 4 cashmere cloth. And then from there, we should be able to make every combat gear in the weaver list. Alright, let's see. I believe I'm actually going to go ahead and hold off on the 4-star culinarian crafts for patch 2.5. I'm not going to worry about these yet. They are definitely better. We've got tank food and we've got just general food, Atom level 110. Very handy. I'm going to save that for patch 2.5. Additionally, Alchemist has a lot of recipes, a lot. I think I'm only going to make the two grimoires, the one for Summoner and the one for Scholar. And then I'll save the Tinker's Calm and everything else for patch 2.5. Because that is a lot of Orchestrion rolls. And the Orchestrion rolls aren't too bad, but we don't have access to all of the faded copies of Orchestrion rolls yet. So I'm going to save this until we have access to all of those faded copies. So the next thing we'll be crafting will just be these 2 grimoires. And then that should be it for crafting for today. So yeah, saving just like a good bulk of Alchemist and then all of Culinarian for patch 2.5. That should be fine. Because we've already done a ton of crafting already, and this has been a very expensive crafting endeavor. So I'll be back when I have everything I need for those 2 weapons from Alchemist. Alright, I am back, and there's only 2 recipes left that we are doing for today, which is going to be the 2 weapons from Alchemist. After this, all that will be left, we'll have gone through basically all the Mastercraft recipes. Of course, we are skipping over the 11 weapons, the Mighty Thunder weapons, which are all just Ramuh-themed weapons at item level 110. Looks like they do have slightly different stats, so like, it may be worth looking into those to see if like those stats might be better for your particular setup. But also, you shouldn't be doing this. Just use your poetics to get the item level 130 gear and move on. You shouldn't be doing this. These are basically just for aesthetic purposes. Anyways, yeah, I'm skipping over the Ramuh weapons just because I don't want to spend too much time on this that I don't need to. But yeah, we've otherwise gone through basically every single recipe. The only things that will be left are a whole bunch of Alchemist recipes, namely Orchestrion rolls and Tinker's Calm, which is very handy if you're trying to grind up your desynthesis. Desynthesis skill gain plus 30, and that's just for normal quality. If we get high quality, it'll be even better. And then of course there's also a bunch of food recipes, and by that I mean 4 food recipes, which are all good. They're very good. They're item level 110, so we've got, for casters, we've got Piety and Determination. For tanks, we have Bacon Bread with Tenacity and Critical Hit. And for everyone else, or just everyone, we've got Critical Hit and Direct Hit off of Flint Caviar. You probably just want to use Flint Caviar on all of your jobs, to be honest. That's really good. Those are just generally really good stats for everyone. Maybe use Triple Cream Coffee if you're having like spell speed and piety issues, like you're running out of MP too quickly as a caster. I think actually piety might only affect healers specifically. And then Bacon Bread. Tenacity got a buff in Dawn Trail, so the high-end raiders are still working out what the best in slot is nowadays. And the Tenacity changes in Dawn Trail may make this a lot better. But with how Tenacity worked through Endwalker, it's good. It's a good set. It's just not enough to justify going for Tenacity over basically every other stat. Especially Critical Hit and Direct Hit are going to be pretty good. It's like, Tenacity might be good for tanks now. It's not that it was ever bad. You should definitely have Tenacity, but it's never been good enough to warrant, like, putting food buffs or materia into Tenacity. At least not as long as I've been playing. Anyways, yeah, Flint Caviar I'd say would be the best general for your jobs. And then Bacon Broth is great for desynthesis skill gain, if you're desynthing a lot of things, trying to grind that up, and for reduced durability loss if you want to keep your gear up longer. Just grind up a crafter and get some dark matter so you can repair your gear. The Bacon Broth is only really useful for the desynth skill gain, I think. I don't know, maybe someone wants to do reduced durability loss. I'm not saying it's not useful, I'm just saying like the direct stat bonuses in combat, way better. Anyways, so yeah, we're gonna be saving all those alchemist recipes and those culinarian recipes. Those are all gonna be saved for patch 2.5. Just because we've done a ton of crafting already, and I don't want us to be stuck here longer than we need to. So let's go ahead and get the Kirimu Grimoire crafting, and then I can start going over the ingredients. Alright, in terms of crystals, we need 6 fire clusters, 6 ice clusters, 14 wind clusters and 14 earth clusters, 8 lightning clusters, and 10 water clusters. From gathering, starting off in the North Shroud from the Ixal Society vendor, or of course you can also get these from your Grand Company with Grand Company seals. We need 2 Void Scent Blood and 2 Minium. And things that you can get from your Grand Company but not from the Ixal. We need 3 Wootsor, 4 Dubbin, and 27 Borax. Alright, in terms of actual gathering, we came up just short. Interesting. Well, at least I know that it gets all the way to the end with like no issues before it comes up just short, so I'm not worried, but that's unfortunate. 93 and 183 versus... I would need to actually switch jobs to be able to see that. 93 and 186. I'm glaring at you. Okay, hold on. That probably implies that the 480 and 2900 versus 480... What the heck? Why did I have trouble? There's nothing wrong with my alchemist. It should have been able to do that. No, you know what? It's fine. Let's craft and move on. In terms of other gathering, from Southern Thanalan, Time Mining, we can get 2 Platinum Ore. And from Middle Enosia, Time Botany, we can get 6 Ebony Logs. From there, we can do our pre-crafts. Oh, wait, not quite yet. From Binding Coils of Bahamut, turns 1, 2, 4, and 5, we can get 3 Elegant Woots Nuggets and 4 Elegant Leather. From Circus Tower and Labyrinth of the Ancients, we can get 6 Elegant Catalysts. And from desynthesizing high item level like combat gear, we can get 6 Battlecraft Demi Materia 3. Again, what happened? What? Something's not right here. You know what? It's fine. Pre-crafts. As carpenter, we can make 3 ebony lumber. As blacksmith, 3 woods ingots. As leatherworker, 4 Kirimu leather. And as alchemist, 2 enchanted platinum ink. Once we have that, we can make our Kirimu Codex and our Kirimu Grimoire. 1 for summoners and 1 for scholars. With that, we are now guaranteed to have item level 110 on every slot on every job. Awesome. We are very well prepared for the upcoming raids as we go into not quite yet, but we will in due time be oh, I have my relics. Perfect. Anyways, we will in due time be wrapping up the Binding Coils of Bahamut. And going into that, starting with item level 110 gear is definitely going to be to our advantage. I want to say item level 110 is the minimum requirement for entry. Thankfully our item level is actually quite a bit above that because we also have Azema's earrings, which bump us up quite a bit. When we are actually in the duties, they'll be 130, so that'll put us, when we're in Binding Coils of Bahamut, at a total item level of 111.67. So just barely above entry requirements, I think. The important thing is that we are all ready to go, and we'll be able to get better gear from the Binding Coils themselves. So then, with that, I think we're gonna call that good for now. There's more recipes we can craft, plenty more recipes we can craft, but we will get to them in due time. We've taken care of the bulk of it today, so there's only like really wrap up next time we do crafting in patch 2.5. Which is good, I'm glad for that. But next time, hey, let's do some more sightseeing. And we can talk about Castor Macalonis. What's Castor Macalonis, you may be asking? We'll talk about that.